through this morning till now as we speak with you. From Poonch to Rajouri, from Mendhar to Mendhar, Pakistani troops have resorted to unprovoked firing in 8 forward sectors along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir, violating ceasefire agreements and prompting retaliation from Bharatiya troops. But this has been incessant from their end. They have been embarrassed. They are going and telling the world, look, Bharat has pounded us, but this is what they are doing. After Pahalgam, this is Poonch, Rajouri, Mendhar, this is Kupwara, a house of a civilian. This is against even basic norms. This is a war crime that the Pakistanis are committing. And look what they are doing. Civilian establishments in Jammu and Kashmir. People who they claim that they are actually fighting for, they are pounding them. And these shells are claiming innocent lives. This pounding continues. Akash is joining us with more. There are a lot of pictures that have come in which we are not putting on air because the visuals are very, very disturbing. There are people who've been maimed, youngsters who've been maimed, women who've been maimed, so badly injured. The shells have torn their bodies, parts of their bodies to shreds. They're bleeding profusely. And people, others who are evading the oncoming shells are taking them to safety along with the personnel and local village civil defense and volunteers there. Look at houses destroyed. The visuals coming in from the hospitals are shocking, viewers. Yes, Akash.
Anand, this violation has been happening across the LC, but condition in Poonch is quite different. And Anand, I want to share it with you. I have visited Poonch several times because of our narcotics investigation. And, there I have seen that how, in Poonch specifically, there are several sectors where in the base we have one Indian village and at the top of the hill we have one Pakistani post. And from that particular height, you can actually target these, villagers. So this is exactly what is happening at this point in time when Pakistan is reacting out of frustration because they were caught sleeping when Indian Armed Forces launched this operation Sindoor and, carried out this operation where 9 of these locations were targeted. Pakistan has been involved in the ceasefire violation where we have been learning that at least 15 people have lost their life and Poonch is, largely affected because of the fact that it is south of Pir Panjal where terrain is so different that, on the top of the hill you have Pakistani post and in the base you have one Indian village. Though Indian Army is retaliating, Anand, but then someone who is sitting at the top will always have an advantage and this time around they are not targeting the Indian post but actually the residents. And we have seen the pictures. You rightly pointed out, these individuals have nothing to do with what is happening. This should be in fact between forces versus forces. But it is not happening and this is inhuman. In fact, I have seen several videos, Anand. We cannot put out those videos, of course, but then it has been happening and till now artillery was not being used by Pakistan. But last night, since they could not do anything of the sort of operation that was launched by Indian Armed Forces, out of frustration they have opened the artillery fire. In fact, we are learning that they are using smart ammunition as well. Assessment is still going on and we'll get more details on it as to what is the kind of ammunition
they are using. This is a war crime. Now, this is a country which is going and playing victim, but this is, Bharat should bring this up to the notice of the international community saying, look at what the Pakistanis are unleashing upon innocent civilians. And they are not supposed to be doing this. They claim that they are playing a fair game, but this is vile and this is devious and they should not be doing this. The other factor is that if we are saying no more Pahalgam, then our forces and our government should also turn around and say no more Poonch, Mendhar and no more targeting innocents along the LC, thinking that you can fire at will and you can kill and maim at will. So let's hope that the government is not resting on what has happened with Operation Sindoor and they continue on in such a way that these guns are silenced on the other side. Because these people who have lost their lives today, it hurts. These people who are hurt, who are injured, who are maimed and whose homes have been destroyed by the Pakistani guns, they also deserve justice and they also deserve a certain level of retribution. Akash, thank you for your inputs. Great job done on ground. He continues to be in Jammu and Kashmir tracking the developments as we continue to track the developments here. But let's bring you up to speed on what's happened over the last 14 to 18 hours. On the 22nd of April, we heard the screams of Lieutenant Vijay Narwal's wife in Pahalgam moments after terrorists targeted innocent tourists in Pahalgam, attacked Hindu men after singling them out and shot them dead in cold blood. The screams, the pain, the grief, the anger of the families of the 26 civilians resonated with 140 crore Bharatiya. Bharat's retribution plan was top of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's agenda, who felt the pain personally. Bharat hit back and hit Pakistan hard within a fortnight, responding to Pahalgam terror attack by striking 9 sites in Pakistan. These sites were identified, tracked and punished. This was in Pakistan and Pak-occupied Kashmir. This carrying a message that was both emotionally resonant and symbolically heroic and important. All the 9 sites that were selected, all the installations that were terror infrastructure installations that were targeted, were all responsible for fomenting some or the other heinous terror act on Bharatiya soil, starting with the Akshardham attack into the Parliament attack of 2001, 2611 Mumbai, Pathankot Air Base, the targeting of our soldiers in Uri, Pulwama and Pahalgam, and so many other instances in between. The forces struck selective terror bases in Pakistan and POJK, reportedly from where terrorist attacks against Bharat were orchestrated under Operation Sindoor. Sindoor or vermilion traditionally signifies the marital status of Hindu women. It also serves as a symbolic reference to bravery, to veerta and to the relationship of blood. Serves as a symbolic reference to the April 22 Pahalgam massacre, where women of Bharat were told that they don't deserve to have a happy life and they were deliberately being widowed and left to live to sell the tale. And today, women of Bharat have stood there to tell the perpetrators that we have come into your home, into your backyard and demolished these terror infrastructures. So, let's try and understand. Last week here on the Right Stand, we shared exclusive details with you on 2 key terror hubs of the Lashkar and Jaish, Muridke and Bahawalpur. This was shared with us by our Group Editor, Investigations and Security Affairs, Manoj Kumar Gupta. Now, they have been decimated by Bharat in this precision strike in the wee hours of the 7th of May. This is as part of Operation Sindoor. Now, let's take you through each terror hub and how each site was used to spread terror against Bharat. Now, 3 terror tanzeems were targeted, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Hizbul Mujahideen. The first target, Muzaffarabad in POJK, and the capital of the POK area. Shawai Nala camp, terror camps were destroyed by a missile strike. The Shawai Nala camp, also known as the Baitul Mujahideen Markaz, is also something used by the Hizbul Mujahideen and the Lashkar by the Lashkar-e-Taiba, actually this one, the Markaz Sayyidna Bilal, the main center of the Jaish in POJK, that was also targeted. In Kotli, the next region, next location, Markaz Abbas and Markaz Rahil Shahid, they are located near the LOC. They have been flagged for infiltration. The Markaz Abbas in Kotli is an important terror facility of the Jaish. The Markaz Rahil Shahid is one of the oldest hubs of the Hizbul. Then the next location, Gulpur, under the radar for terror training camps, Bhimbar Markaz-e-Ahle Hadith, Barnala, the center of Pakistan ceasefire violations, Lashkar hub in POJK. The next one, reportedly again a Hizbul hotbed called the Mehmoon Joya in Sialkot, under the radar for terrorist activities. Chak Amru, again under the radar for terrorist activities and also for training Fidain. Muridke, Markaz-e-Tayyaba, under the radar for terrorist activities. This is the headquarters and the alma mater of the Lashkar-e-Tayyaba. Of course, then the biggest of them, the 14-acre plus area of the Bahawalpur Markaz or center. That's what it's called, Markaz Subhanallah, center of a fantastic center. That's what it is supposed to mean. Hometown of the Jaish and home base of the Jaish chief Masood Azhar. And the Jaish-e-Mohammed itself has now confirmed that these strikes have accounted for nearly 10 of the Masood Azhar family, many of whom were not just operational commanders but also huge instructors in these training camps. The Lashkar also has lost 2 or 3 of its key operational commanders. So Bahawalpur is the main center for Jaish for indoctrination and training, and it's the operational headquarter of the Jaish. So let's try and understand. Muzaffarabad, the Shawai Nala camp, there are terror camps that were destroyed by missile strike. How were they accounted for? How were they targeted? The Shawai Nala camp, also known as Baitul Mujahideen, the Lashkar terror hub, 2611 attacker Ajmal Kasab got his training here. Weapons for Lashkar cadre, Lashkar terrorists who are being sent to launching facilities opposite North Kashmir all emanate from this region, the Shawai Nala camp. Then there is the Markaz Sayyidna Bilal. It's the main center of the Jaish in POJK. It's right opposite the Muzaffarabad Red Fort. It's a transit camp for Jaish terrorists prior to their launching into Jammu and Kashmir region. Pak Army SSG, Special Services Group, imparts training to Jaish cadre here at this region, the Markaz Sayyidna Bilal. That's the one. Then let's go to Kotli. Markaz Abbas and Markaz Rahil Shahid, located near the LOC, flagged for infiltration. Markaz Abbas Kotli is important terror facility of the Jaish. Close aide of Jaish commander Asghar Qari Zarar is the head and plans and executes attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. This place can accommodate up to 125 Jaish terrorists. The Markaz Rahil Shahid is one of the oldest hubs of the Hizbul. It can accommodate again about 150 to 200 terrorists. So this is located near the LOC. It's been flagged repeatedly for infiltration. The Markaz Abbas in Kotli. It is important terror facility of the Jaish. Let's understand close aid of the Jaish commander Asghar Qari Zarar. He is the head of this entire Markaz or this center. It's called Markaz Abbas. He plans and executes attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. Let's go to the next one as we bring in Markaz Rahil Shahid. So this can accommodate 100 to 125 Jaish terrorists. This is Markaz Abbas. Then you have the Markaz Rahil Shahid. It's one of the oldest hubs of the Hizbul Mujahideen. This is also in Kotli. It can accommodate 150 to 200 terrorists. The next one is in Shakargarh. This is the Sarjal Tehra Kala terror hub. It's in Shakargarh Tehsil of Pak, Punjab. Now, it's the main launching facility of the Jaish. Close proximity to the international border in the Samba sector. The next location, Gulpur. Let's understand, where is Gulpur? Gulpur comes up, flashes up there on the map. It's under the radar for terror training camps. Also, Fidain are being trained in this region. Bhimbar. Now, this Bhimbar Gully has been often spoken about for infiltration route. The Markaz-e-Ahle Hadid Barnala. This is where it is. It's a center for Pakistan's ceasefire violations. It's a Lashkar hub in POJK region. It's used for infiltration of terrorists and also keeping them holding. It's like a holding area before they move towards the launch pads further closer to the LC. The ammunition to Punch, Rajouri and Riyasi. This also can accommodate about 100 to 125 Jaish cadre. The next one is Sialkot. Now, Sialkot was a known location, but the exact geolocation was gleaned when certain OGWs were interrogated. Mehmoon Joya is under the radar for terrorist activities. Then the next location is Chak Amru. Chak Amru is under the radar for terrorist activities. Again, suicide bombers, Fidain are trained here. Let's come further down into the Punjab region. Just 32 kilometers or 35 kilometers from Lahore is Muridke, where you have the Markaz-e-Taiba. It's the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. It's under the radar for terrorist activities and fomenting multiple acts of terror on Bharatiya soil. It's the alma mater of the Lashkar arms and training facility. There is radicalization, indoctrination on acts. Osama financed 10 million for this facility. 2611 attacker Ajmal Amir Kasab got intel training here. He hails from this region of Muridke. 2611 plotters David Coleman Headley and Tahavur Rana visited this facility. Ajmal Kasab got intel training and initial training here before he was moved up further towards Muzaffarabad, the Shawai Nala. But here, the plotters David Coleman Headley and Tahur Rana visited this facility. Let's look at Bahawalpur. This is the biggest headquarter, the biggest hub of terror that's been fomented on Indian soil, starting from Akshardham into 2001 Parliament attacks and thereof closer to the 2019 Pulwama attacks. They have been involved. Main center for Jaish indoctrination. This is the hometown of Jaish chief Masood Azhar, and there is training, operational headquarters of the Jaish. Pulwama attack was planned here. Masood Azhar, Rauf Asghar, they all reside here. There is regular arms training for Jaish cadre that is given. All these hubs, their infrastructure has been demolished. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow ORF with us. Kiran Bedi, former Director General Civil Defence with us. Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma is with us. Former Adjutant General and former GOC 14 Corps of the Indian Army. Group Captain MJ Vinod is also with us. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. A significant, comprehensive demolition of terror infrastructure which has long existed, and there's been a demand that this should have been done. Kiran Bedi ji, your thoughts on what Bharat has done and how the Pakistanis have responded, what they are doing currently along the LC, again claiming civilian lives.
I've been listening to my Indian news and I've been listening to some foreign news as well.
Ji.
I wish to point out that the foreign news is not doing justice. In fact, we should even have a session as to how are they reporting who. They're hiding certain news and they're spreading false news, fake news. So I think we need to even have a session. How is who reporting how? How is Al Jazeera reporting? How is BBC reporting? How is CNN reporting? How is Sky News reporting? I think we need to have a little session on that because this is alarming. They are presenting certain news and I don't want to repeat that. Why should I repeat that? But they're giving fake news. So I think that's a matter of concern. While we know what we've achieved, we know that how our armed forces and our political leadership and the entire governance has led us where we expected to. We were confident of after 15 days of due diligence. Not reaction, but action and salutary action, which brought a lot of huge relief to all of us. It's actually released some pain from within. But I think we need to understand and share with us ourselves who is reporting what language. I can understand how they reported Pahalgam. In fact, we might have to go back to the source. How were they reporting Pahalgam? Are they calling it brutal attack? Are they avoiding using the word terrorist? Are they linking other country with terrorism with Pakistan or not? I think we need to understand. Let's not just print it. Let's have a session, a focused session. What is the language being used by the foreign media? It's of concern to me because how do I let the world know? How much can we disseminate? How will we disseminate what is factually correct as we believe? What is our version is not getting reported. The kind of strikes we've made on all the 9, and how we've demolished the terrorist factories is not being stated. I have not heard that here are the 9. Some are saying 6, some are saying 3, some are saying they are understating what factually has happened. So I think before I give you my view, I've been also trying to listen who is saying what, because that's where the world is getting to know. But secondly, I think the second social my feeling is, we can also know how the countries have stated. How the media is reporting, international media, the key news. Secondly, what are the country statements happening? Who is regretting? Who is supporting? Or who's saying what? So I think let's have the major countries also say what is their leadership, because I've been responding to some of these statements. And I've been saying to certain media, well, everybody outside our country is responding as it suits them. All right, so let's know if it suits them. is as expedient to them, or it's as I don't know, diplomatically suitable to them. So let's know the diplomacy they are using. So I think the world, our India, also needs to know how are the other countries reporting news, media news. Secondly, how are they responding? We also know what Security Council dealt with, how Security Council, the language of the resolution, and of course we got some certain leakages, let's say overhearing or leakages. So I think that's another, but that sets the tone, and therefore how has the strategy of Pakistan has not worked by bringing it into the Security Council, because Security Council is a very closed institution. You cannot know. But the statement is, what is their statement also saying? So let's have the UN. Let's have the Secretary General of the UN saying what. So I think we need to know as a world, as India, what is the world saying? So I think it's a very important case to be made out of who is saying what. And now we leave it to ourselves. So we really know who's playing neutral, who's being more realistic, and who's undermining. I think that's what I want to know as an Indian.
Kiranji, your point well noted, the concerns well noted, and with a lot of respect to whoever are the media, that foreign media that you have named, they are very, very independent, Kiranji. So,
even if
they're so independent that they can call the moon the Mars and get away with it. So let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. I think what we need to be concerned is how are Bharatiya reading and what are they trusting.
Or our Bharatiya is telling us, I have no doubt, our Bharatiya is being, because we are an open, transparent democracy. We are an open democracy and an open media, and also independent media. We are not in doubt, but I think the country needs to know what is the other independent media saying, what is the other print media saying. I think that's one session I would request you, if you can consider.
Well, if they were truly independent, they would be putting out both sides of the story. If they are not, then we leave it to the wisdom and the judgment of the people who are having the remote in their hands and what they need to do with it. I can only say that for the moment. The other thing, Kiranji, is that in the UN Security Council, 13 of the 15 nations, so barring China and Pakistan, 13 of the 15 nations have backed Bharat. As long as Bharat diplomatically is able to continue to wield that influence and is able to bring nations to their side, compared to the last time it was in Balakot, I'm just for the viewers' information, this time around the briefing has been far more robust, far more regular, and it has been faster. So any amount of misinformation, disinformation, there has been an attempt to call it out much better than Balakot. Can we do a far better job of it? Can we do it, improve it 10x? Yes, we can. Do we have a state media that is robust enough to go across into foreign nations and to try and influence and to try and put the facts out there? Perhaps we need to get there, and that's the learning for us as a nation. But at the moment, what we can do is that we can put the facts out as robustly and as often and disseminate that as much as possible. That's where we can. And I agree with you that we need to have, as the dust settles, when things calm down a little, we need to look back and say who's doing what, kaun kahan pe hai, and what their real face is. And we should have that discussion. But for the moment, I'm just going to stay.
I agree that let the dust settle, but we must know.
I totally agree. And then let's just circle back to come back and say Operation Sindoor, perhaps one of the most robust measures that we have taken as a nation against a neighbor who has for long tormented us. General Sharma, your thoughts on how Bharat has conducted itself and what happens next? Ji.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Anand.
Ji,
like we've been discussing since morning, I feel the best thing that has happened is that we have broken the psychological barrier of Punjab, of hitting Punjab, and in multiple places and succeeding with it. And you know, the visuals come out from Pakistan media also show that the hits across into Punjab have been singularly very important and targeted. So that's one very major part of it. In POK, all the targets that we have been hitting, we have been trying out earlier, except for maybe Muzaffarabad, it's the first time. But we have tried out Kotli earlier and many other places earlier using artillery. So I would say so that break of psychological barrier of Punjab was important. Murid ke, Bahawalnagar, Raiwind have been names spoken about by us for last 20 years. and we've been talking of targeting these for a very long time. And I think it's an excellent thing that we have gone across and targeted these. The messaging is great. Now the other part is that what happens next. Now Pakistan, I would presume, has a short window. They cannot go across to 12, 13 days or one fortnight to decide what they would do. Because in their case, the window becomes shorter because of their international pressure that can be brought up to bear on them. They have a whole lot of funds spending, a whole lot of international pressures that will come across. So this short window comes to today and tomorrow. If we take the statement of Khwaja Asif in the morning today, when he said that if India does not escalate, we'll wrap it up. And as Sushant has been saying 100 times, he is what he calls him a chaprasi. But I would say that as a minister, he has no standing in front of the Pakistan army. I'd say that what Nawaz Sharif said had meaning. Sorry, Abbas Sharif has got meaning. His statement today says he referred to Article 51 of the United Nations, which says that they have the right to respond, which the United Nations Convention of Article 51 says so. So he is telling us that we have the right to respond. There is last point here before I end. The claims of Pakistan that they have already done successful operations in India since last night, which is targeting these places that you have been referring to in the south of Pir Panjal belt from Punch right up to close to Samba area by artillery fires is one, and they said they have targeted many brigade headquarters and downed some aircrafts of India. So as a face-saving device, Pakistan is already moving towards its end to say that they have done some substantial work and it's a face-saving. But I would deem to say that there is something we must be prepared for tonight or maybe tomorrow night, the 2 nights that they have to take action on, in which they would hit something. We can discuss what are the likely targets that the Pakistanis can hit.
Right. On that note, we've just got news coming through. Top government sources are telling CNN-News18, Payal Mehta getting us these details, that Bharat is not scared to continue its fight against terror. Bharat is willing to teach Pakistan a lesson yet again. Behave well or get punished. More terror hubs are on the radar. 21 were identified. Only 9 locations have been targeted. There will be no leniency on the non-military front. This is the straight talk to Pakistan. If there is any retaliatory action from Pakistan, Bharat will give a befitting reply. Payal Mehta is with us. So Payal, the non-kinetic options or the non-linear options, they will continue, be it with the waters, be it with the diplomatic thrust, be it with FATF grey listing, etc., etc. It's about the kinetic part. If there is a retaliation, there will be a stronger one from Bharat.
The sources in the government, Anand, are telling me something very, very clearly, that Pakistan can do whatever they want to appease their akas or their bosses, but the fact of the matter is that they've been unmasked, their faces have been unmasked, and there is more that India can do actually to damage their image globally as well. And they should not really think that, if they strike, then Indians are sitting with chudi pen ke nahi baithe. That's exactly what one officer really told me, essentially, that, we are willing to strike back with equal force. We've behaved most decently. We tried to give them a long rope, but Pakistan doesn't seem to learn a lesson. They should just think that, if they kind of, fire at the LOC and they think that we'll just sit quiet, it's not going to happen. We have many more, targets in Pakistan, which are, of course, terror hubs. And we have enough evidence to prove to the world that Pakistan is a terror bogey and a rogue state as well. So obviously, India is not going to step back any point in time. So if anybody thinks that, once these strikes are done and India will soften its stand on Pakistan, like we were discussing earlier with you, Anand, that is not going to happen.
Right.
Karara jawab milega, muh tod jawab milega. That is, of course, the sentiment, not just within the government and the forces, but also within the bureaucrats.
Well, thank you for your inputs, Payal. Sushant Sareen, your thoughts?
Anand, a couple of things. One on what Dr. Kiran Bedi was talking about. Look, this is not a new thing which is happening. This has started from around 2014, and let's face it, most of the newspapers that she's talking about, Al Jazeera is particularly problematic, as are some of these other news channels. TRT is a complete mouthpiece of the Turks, and the Turks are completely backing the Pakistanis. Al Jazeera is full of Islamists and jihadists, and they peddle that propaganda. We've seen what they've done on the Hamas front. But even otherwise, some of the Western newspapers or news organizations have an ideological bent of mind, and they have been going hammer and tongs against this government for the last 11 years. When have they relented? And we have, in a sense, decided that we'll ignore it. We won't, react to it beyond a point. And maybe Dr. Bedi has a point that I don't think you should let this pass. On the other front, look, we are now in the next phase of the situation. I think the messaging from the Indian side, as General Sharma very correctly says, I think it's a very, very strong message that has been given. And the message is that, look, if you are going to be having these kind of terror camps and these terror establishments, then they are fair game. If, things go out of control, then these are fair game. We are going to come for them. We are not going to limit whatever strikes we have been doing to just, artillery exchanges along the LOC or any action across the LOC. Everything is fair game. But I think let's be very clear about something. India's approach on Pakistan, even on the Indus waters issue, what have we said? Forget what is being said publicly or in the media. What is the official position? We haven't abrogated the treaty. We've said we are putting it in abeyance and we are linking it with the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. That if the Pakistanis abjure terrorism and they dismantle that entire system, frankly, I don't think anybody in India has any interest in trying to block water supply to Pakistan on the rivers which were allotted to Pakistan. It's another matter that whatever is our share out of those rivers, we will exploit that to the maximum possible and perhaps, try and get some design changes done so that the life of those projects increase. But I think the basic approach of the government of India has been that we are not interested in stopping the water. But, water and blood cannot flow together. You take your choice. If you are going to make blood flow in India, then water is not going to flow. And if blood stops flowing, then water will flow. Secondly, I think the Indian approach to Pakistan has been very clear. We've turned our back on Pakistan. They might not like it, but that is the fact that we say that we have nothing to do with these guys anymore. We are going to do our own thing. We are going to focus on our own economy, on our own people, and we have nothing to do with Pakistan. And yes, if we have to compete with some country, we are going to compete with China. We are not competing with Pakistan, right? The Pakistanis have a habit of like leeches trying to drag us down. They've done it again. If they take the off-ramp, which again General Sharma was speaking about and we've spoken about it in the morning as well, that, if in a sense this can be a win-win without going up the escalation ladder, that we've done what we had to do. The Pakis claim that, fine, the Indians did and we hit back and, matters settle out here, but we reserve the right. The rest of it is rhetoric, right? This can become an off-ramp. But if the Pakis are going to react, then there are two options for them. One option is that they carry out a few strikes on empty plots, maybe very deep into Indian territory to make a point. But there is no loss of either infrastructure or of lives. They don't target any military or civilian targets, and they make their point. Now, at that point of time, India will have to decide, okay, fine, do we consider this an off-ramp? Or if they are going to strike military and civilian targets, then I don't think India has any option but to hit back with everything possible.
But Sushantji,
just a second, Anand. At that point of time, we are not just going to target then the militant camps or the terrorist camps. Then we are going to target Pakistani military and Pakistani civil infrastructure just as they would have done.
Right. But
so I think
But what I am trying to say, Sushantji and Kiran Bedi ji, before I go across to Group Captain MJ Vinod, abhi aap see in Poonch what is happening. They have in the last 10 hours they have killed 15 civilians, injured 43. So they are upping the body count of civilians. Why the ceasefire violation? So are we okay with that? No, and if they go back and say कि देखिए अगले 20 घंटे में 20-25 घंटे 20 मान लीजिए 24 घंटे में 48 घंटे में 2 दिन में they continue pummeling our civilian areas and they increase the body count to 40.
Anand, that is favor.
So that नहीं, is that
Yeah, that is
okay?
the favor we can return to them, na?
No.
Ask General Sharma.
नहीं. But Kiran ji, how is that okay then? फिर हम उनको कहाँ सबक सिखा रहे हैं? वो कहाँ सीख रहे हैं?
अरे, but we can do cause even more damage. यार, look at the lay of the LOC.
But
please,
sir, please understand my point of view. Are we okay with that and say, okay, this is an off-ramp which will allow the
no, we are
Pakistanis
not.
to do?
So we are going to ratchet it up
Okay,
as
and
much.
then
Ask General Sharma, what is the kind of stuff we have?
Kiran ji, please tell me, what are your thoughts? Are we okay to do this? Should this not be punished? Ma'am, you're on mute.
Since Anand, I was to go to another channel,
Ji.
I could shortly, briefly respond to this.
Ji.
See, they lost out hugely by these 9 surgical strikes.
Ji.
What else can they do? What else do they do? But to go into hapless civilians. So they will continue to provoke you. We have to continue to engage in the fight now on this line of control. So I think वो ही कर रहे हैं जो कर सकते हैं इस वक्त.
जी.
क्योंकि ये हार मानी हुई है, क्योंकि और क्या करेंगे? 9 strikes तो हो गई और India is not stopping at 9 strikes. India will continue with these कि जहां से आएगा टेरर तो जाएगा. They will remain on the Indian radar now. As I see, these others will remain on radar.
Right.
Because that's our right to do. Exactly what was done for Osama bin Laden.
Ji.
So where you can strike where the terror is coming from. And that's a legitimate right. That I think India will continue. When they do, how they do, let's leave it to their wisdom. They know better. And they've proven they know best. But I think these civilians is nothing but a provocation, continuing to provoke us, to engage us, because this is exactly what they need desperately. To carry on, दिखाना कि हमने इतने लोगों को मार दिया. So we have to strike back sharper. We have to save our civilians hugely. And whatever we can do to shield the civilians, I'm sure the government of India knows best. I would leave it at that.
Ji. Thank you, Kiran Bedi ji. Before I bring in Group Captain MJ, we know there are certain aspects that we'd like to share. These are some targets. There are 21 that were identified. The army itself said that. But there are also certain people who are still there, who are and who must continue to remain on Bharat's radar. It's a safe haven to these Pahalgam plotters even now. Pakistan. Saifullah Kasuri, Lashkar's deputy chief. He continues to remain somewhere in Pakistan. He's hiding somewhere. Abu Musa, Lashkar's POK top commander. Then Mohammad Nawaz, he's Lashkar's POK recruitment commander. Abdul Rafa Rasool, Hizbul's operational commander. Abdullah Khalid, Lashkar's field commander. Idris Shaheen, he's the Huji commander. He is also there somewhere in Pakistan. Nearly 20 handlers and terror commanders are operating, while 33 active commanders are currently in the Jammu and Kashmir valley. इन सबको कश्मीर चाहिए और भारत को उनका सर, and that should not be lost on anybody who has promised that they will be identified, tracked and punished. Bharat has sent to Pakistan nearly 20 letter rogatories for judicial requests for detailed dossiers and also detailed dossiers, DNA samples of terrorists related to various terror attacks including 26/11, Pathankot, Pulwama, Nagrota, but Islamabad has chosen to ignore this evidence. So if they cannot offer them, a Sajid Mir was highlighted by Vikram Misri, who was proclaimed to be dead and then arrested 15 years later. Agency sources have told CNN-News18 that these terror masterminds are allowed to operate from a safe haven in Pakistan. There is more. Hafiz Saeed, we need him. 26/11 mastermind. He may be a figurehead now, but we need him. His brother, his son, 26/11 mastermind, Hafiz Saeed, also son of Hafiz Saeed, that is Tala Saeed. He recruits, collects funds for terror. Then Masood Azhar, Jaish-e-Mohammed founder. His family has been accounted for, a lot of the terror commanders, etc. But he still remains. His brother Rauf Asghar too. Uri, Pulwama attacks mastermind. Syed Salahuddin, Hizbul Mujahideen founder, planned the Pathankot attack. Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi, 26/11 plotter. Sajid Mir, I just mentioned him. Vikram Misri mentioned him. Lashkar top commander involved in 26/11 Mumbai attacks. He was claimed dead and then he was arrested recently under FATF when FATF issues happened. Faratullah Ghori, Pak-based terrorist linked to 2002 Akshardham temple attack. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar founded the D-Gang, 1993 Mumbai blast mastermind. Abdur Rauf Asghar, Jaish-e-Mohammed commander, key conspirator of 2001 parliament attack. These people have continued to exist on Pak soil. So these are people, Group Captain MJ Vinod, who we need. And what's happening now, top government sources are saying, let's look at these pictures. Who's turned out for the funeral of those who were found in these terror markazes. It's all people in uniform. BSF Rangers, local police, Pak Army, they are all present there along with local politicians and mullahs. Top government sources are pointing at this, Group Captain MJ Vinod and viewers, and saying if military personnel and netas are attending the funeral of jihadis, what bigger proof that all of this is state-backed?
Absolutely. I don't think we have any doubt on that. In fact, I would have even looked at this particular funeral procession as itself as a very big target, because in one probably scalp, we could have taken out all of them. Anyway, be that as it may, the point is, Anand, we still have viable targets in Pakistan. For retribution, what target does Pakistan have? Actually, there's nothing. I think they should be thankful to India that we cleaned up a little bit of trash which they wanted to and they couldn't. And we did their job. At least that is my take on the subject. And second and most important thing, Anand, is out of 21, we took out only 9.
Yeah.
We have more to go. So which means we will, we at least hold the right to revisit these rest of the targets.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, let me also tell you, for Pakistan to go back to the world to say, to do some kind of operation, I would look at, if I was a Pakistani, I would look at probably the dams. Because we stopped the water, the only viable target that he can go against is probably a token attack on a dam. You can't break a dam. It takes, a few years to break a dam. But a token attack on dam is something which we should be watching out for. And Operation
But that's
Sindoor
an open act of war. That's not a de-escalatory measure. That's an open act of war.
So is Poonch, Anand. This Poonch itself, Poonch has been completely evacuated. That's what my sources tell me. There is not a soul today. So Poonch itself is an open act of war, because number of people who have died in Poonch, your numbers and the numbers that I'm hearing are slightly in difference. I'm hearing numbers upwards of 20 and to 25, which is very close to the numbers that happened in Pulwama has happened in Poonch. So to me, Poonch is another Pulwama, and which requires even a bigger kick than what we have already given. The aspect about Operation Sindoor is also, it's an operation which is wrapped in courage and soaked in sacrifice.
Yes.
So it's like saying, you may break our hearts, but you'll never break our spirit. India moved with purpose, pride, and pain. If you look at, look at Delhi and people in Delhi, they all are very happy, but they are also in a heart of heart, they are, pained because so many people were killed. Sindoor, like you rightly said, is not only a marriage between a man and a woman, but also a marriage between soldier and the soil. It is the color of the blood, this is correct, but it is also a color of commitment. And this is not retaliation. This is a retribution with responsibility. So that is what I look at Operation Sindoor as.
Right. But General Sahab, what happens now? What are Bharat's options? Are both sides, from your understanding, looking for de-escalation, or if anything that the Pakistanis do now, till what level are we let it to look at it as an off-ramp? How many more lives are we ready to lose to look at an off-ramp or a de-escalation, as Sushant Sareen puts it? Or are we going to continue to press on the buttons if Pakistan does any act of retaliation?
So, Anand, once we breached the LOC and the IP together, we should deem it that the ceasefire is dead. Now, dragging the ceasefire to our bosoms beyond this is, I think, is incorrect. And it's not Poonch alone. It's about 600 kilometers of villages all along the line of control, right up to Kathua, which are all located there. and they are across the fence also. They're tilling across the fence. Today morning, the LG had ordered all these villages to be vacated and moved backward. Because, obviously when we are stuck across the line of control, they would be targeted. And, Poonch being a bowl gets targeted first. We would be targeting Kotli also, even as artillery, not as part of the yesterday night. Kotli is normally also targeted, Nikyal, and there are many other hundreds of places that we are targeting ourselves. So either we respond back in equal measure and hit into their townships like they're hitting Poonch as a measure to quieten them, which has been done earlier, to say that you hit our villages, we hit your village back, and then that quietens it. Or we do technology and push the artillery out. The artillery has got finite amount of range, say 30 kilometers. So you have to use those loitering ammunition that we used yesterday night to target those artillery gun positions so that they are pushed out from there and move further backwards away from being hit. So, this Poonch will be hit. And, earlier also, before this ceasefire was called off, these townships and villages were being hit. Surankot, Rajouri, Nashera, Bimbar Gali, or Jodia. All were being hit earlier, and they will be hit. So either we take strong action to hit their villages, Chakoti, in Neelam Valley, etc., or we target their gun positions which are targeting us and push them out. Either way, this problem is going to stand, and it will be. And we have been stating this for the last 12 days, that this is an issue. And I'll add one more issue, please allow me. One is choreographed response, as Sushant mentioned. It is always possible that with choreographed response, like what happened after Balakot, they hit close to Naria ammunition point and close to Nashera without hitting them. So we say, okay, all is well, it's done it. And I, end by saying, it's all leadership issue now. We keep naming whole lot of these people, families, leaders. Many of them died, or hundreds have died. But hundreds others come up subsequently and they take their place in no time, and this terror factory continues. So killing a leader matters for say 6 months. After 6 months, the next fellow will wear the same boots and he will be doing the same task across here. It is the factory that needs to be sorted out.
Right, very, very rightly said. It's the factory that needs to be sorted out. Big update coming through. Jammu and Kashmir is all hands on deck. So right now there is an office memorandum of the Civil Secretariat that's just been put out. In view of the prevailing situation, the undersigned directed to request all administrative secretaries and heads of departments working under the administrative control not to sanction any kind of leave in favor of any employee except under exceptional circumstances. So after the CAPF, after the BSF, the army, it's also the administrative services that has now been put on all hands on deck. So clearly indications are that there is some counter that is expected, especially along the LC area, not on the IB. That's what, and it could be around the Jammu and Kashmir region in terms of the theatre of action, if there is any retribution or reprisal that the Pakistanis are at this time planning. Thank you very much to all our guests. We are joined by the former Army Chief, General Bikram Singh. Let's go straight across to someone who I have huge admiration for, the former Army Chief, General Bikram Singh. Jai Hind, sir. This is Anand here. Thank you for making the time.
Anand. Jai Hind. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Your thoughts on Operation Sindoor and how Bharat has gone about it?
I think it's been launched in a very calculated manner. And right from the beginning, as the Honorable Prime Minister had announced, we have adopted a whole of government approach. We've dealt with Pakistan at the economic level, diplomatic, political, informational level, and now, of course, the military went in last night. And I think this operation definitely has assuaged the sufferings and I would say the emotional trauma that the families were suffering after the Pahalgam incident. As far as the message to the Pakistanis is concerned, I think the message has gone out loud and clear on the political front, on the military front, that of course the first political, that we shall not tolerate any nonsense. There is zero tolerance to terrorism, and that is the message that has gone across. And Honorable Prime Minister's old adage right from the beginning, कि घर में घुस के मारेंगे, he's proven that point. That has been done again by the Indian military. And of course, I would like to compliment our intelligence agencies and the military as well. The way they've gone about collecting intelligence, precision, precise intelligence, and the precision weaponry that has been employed by Air Force, by the Army, to neutralize these 9 camps. So the message has gone out clear, and now only thing is that we got to wait and watch and see how Pakistan reacts to this now.
Would like to draw your attention to the PMO statement, the Prime Minister's office in Pakistan, their official statement. It has made a few claims. One, they have not said anything about terror tanzeems or their headquarters. They have blamed Bharat for targeting civilians, including children and women. Then they have said that they have also gunned down 5 of our aircraft. That's their claim, including aircraft and drones or UAVs. The third thing they've said is that the Pakistan government authorizes its military to take corresponding action.
Right.
And they have quoted Article 51 of the UNSC to say right to protect sovereignty and the right to respond at a time and place of their choosing.
Well, Anand, let's be very clear. After we have struck them, they are going to get into this kind of information campaign where they're going to mislead masses, mislead the international community, mislead their own people, and try and create a narrative that they have the moral ascendancy, whereas everyone knows what has happened, and this is expected of them. I mean, let's be very clear. For very long, they never accepted that they were actually carrying out. It has been the epicenter of terrorism. They never acknowledged it. But having known that, the world knows about it, and therefore I don't think their claims are going to have any traction. People are not going to follow what they are saying. People know, they can see through. Today, there is a lot of transparency, as far as the media is concerned. People can gauge, people can make out. And we got our intelligence agencies to prove it wrong. So that is there. Otherwise, to be very honest with you, whether they claim under Article 51 or whatever it is, of course, they will try and do something. But to my way of thinking, it may not be a very high, I would say, echelon of empowered kind of a reaction. It is going to be there definitely because, after all, they require a face saver. The Pakistani military requires a face saver. They've got a bloody nose again, especially because of the people whom they have trained and nurtured against India. So, to my way of thinking, they will keep talking like this. They'll keep get into this kind of rhetoric and this kind of narratives. They'll try and start off with. But we got to keep our guard up, to be very honest with you. And I think our actions are being taken at the right at the political level. I heard the discussion before this. The way we are going about, on the economic front, diplomatic front, on the political front, we are engaging with the international community in the regional context, in the international global context. And we are also trying to create a narrative and tell people that what exactly has happened. So from that point of view, I think we should be prepared for the escalation, which will occur, but it will be momentarily. It will be for a few days, maybe a month at best. Because beyond that, Pakistan does not have the war endurance capability. It does not have the war.
Brought to you by
was personally monitoring Operation Sindoor. So PM was monitoring Operation Synindhur, so he was there, aware of what was going on and personally monitoring what was going on. So for some of the jibes that came at where is our Prime Minister and he's Gayab, etc., this is confirmation that he was right in the thick of it. And at the highest level of government, this Operation Synindhur was being monitored, it's been planned and it's also now been implemented. Yes, Group Captain Vinod.
Great point. So let me quickly finish about this loitering munition. Most of the loitering munition today has the capability to go up without any target. And once the target pops up, it keeps loitering. And once the target pops up, it will go and hit the target. Erstwhile loitering munitions were against the radars. Today, loitering munition can be against anything. Point number one. Point number two, and coming back to Anand, your point. When is the last time when we have seen the premier of a country, of our country, Prime Minister of our country in the ops room, monitoring operations like they do in US? I mean, in the US operations, you've seen many times Obama monitoring the operations, or even Junior Bush monitoring operations. Likewise, in India, this is the first time, I think, I have seen for the first time that Prime Minister is so much involved in monitoring the operations and also taking call as to what kind of targets to take. Very, very important. Muzaffarabad, I just came to know that the tolls have gone up to 30 to 31 people, which means big names and big people in Muzaffarabad must have gone. Same is in
Just give me a moment. I also want to go across to Aman Sharma, our political editor. So Prime Minister Modi monitoring these operations live. Aman, what more details do you have? All right.
This is an important development actually in the larger scheme of things, not just optically, but this does tell you that the Prime Minister is completely involved. And people who have been constantly critical of the Prime Minister perhaps will need to look back. I don't want to make this political at any level, but the fact of the matter is that the Prime Minister guiding this, you saw him on the first day itself. He returned from Saudi Arabia very, very quickly. He was on the first flight he was landing at 7 in the morning, held a meeting at the airport, came to his residence within an hour or two. He was already conferring with the inner core and the inner team, and by the evening he was chairing important meetings with the entire defense establishment.
Aman is also joining us. Aman, what more can you tell us? PM Modi was monitoring this live at 7 LKM.
Yes, Zaka, this feature we can confirm that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was monitoring Operation Sindoor. He was very much in the thick of the things as the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force have conducted a joint coordinated strike inside 9 sites in Pakistan, especially targeting the terror headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Toiba. This strike is much, much bigger than Balakot. When one terror camp was targeted, now we have 9 sites, including the terror headquarters of the Jaish and the Lashkar. What we can confirm through top-level sources is that the Prime Minister was monitoring this operation. He had a busy day. Yesterday he was also at a media event later in the evening at 8 o'clock, but he was monitoring the operation and he has had multiple meetings yesterday also where the entire operation was fine-tuned. Over the last 2 to 3 days, we saw him having separate meetings with the Air Force Chief, the Army Chief and the Navy Chief. He also had multiple meetings with the NSA Ajit Doval, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and the Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah. All this seems to be a very, very planned, coordinated
Do you know
operation.
who else was with him while this operation was underway and while he was monitoring it? Any idea?
Well, Rahul, those details we don't have yet, but we can confirm this much that the Prime Minister was monitoring this operation. This has been the case earlier in the big surgical strikes carried out earlier also. But this time, I think because the strikes size and the strikes...
There's more. Payal Mehta has just now got more information. Aman, at this point, Payal Mehta has got more information where she's saying that 9 targets, all successful. Top sources have now confirmed this. Payal is with us on the phone line. Yes, Payal. So the government confirming that there were 9 targets and all have been successfully hit.
Anand, a very, very important development coming to the 4 top officers in the government have told us the Prime Minister was constantly monitoring the operation throughout the night, and the information that we have is that 9 targets were targeted by our armed forces and all are successful. That's a big official confirmation coming in from the highest officers in the government of India. In fact, even though Pakistan is trying to peddle in some lies and some false information saying 5 targets, etc. But undeniable sources have confirmed this to us. So big.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. India has avenged Pahalgam, which happened on the 22nd of April, through Operation Sindoor. 26 Indian daughters and wives and sisters who lost the male members of their family today found a sense of justice. The Indian armed forces targeted 9 terror locations in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Pakistani Punjab, which is the heart of the Pakistani state, the Pakistani military establishment. The combined operation by the 3 services, the Army, Navy and the Indian Air Force, hit 9 locations, among others Muridke, which is the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and Bahawalpur, which is the headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. These are 2 terror organizations that have singularly been responsible for a large majority of the terror attacks that India has seen in the last 30 or 40 years, from 26/11 to Pulwama to Uri to the very latest that happened in